Have you ever wished that you could grow houseplants but didn't think you actually could? Well, I'm here to tell you, you absolutely can. Hey, if you're new here, I'm Erin. I'm a beauty and lifestyle blogger as well as a mindset and embodiment coach. And today I want to share with you how I went from a pink thumb to a green thumb in a matter of one thought. So I used to say that I had a pink thumb and I couldn't keep anything alive. And that was just a belief that I had about myself. So every time I would say it or think it, I would just reinforce that belief. And if you followed me for any period of time, you know that I really put a lot of stock into my thoughts and beliefs, and as we all should, because they literally are spells. They become manifestations of whatever we say or believe them to be. So today I want to help you change your thoughts and beliefs around growing houseplants if that is something you are interested in. So this started a while ago, actually. I kind of had this thought where I was like, how is it that every woman in my family can all grow houseplants and all do so well with like their green thumbs? And my sister even went to school and studied horticulture at one point. And I just decided, you know what, if everybody else can do it, I can do it too. And I absolutely love growing houseplants. They do so much for your space. I think they're wonderful to have in every room. And if you have a room that maybe doesn't have as much natural light, you can also get some really beautiful faux alternatives. But having real houseplants give us so much energy and they bring so much life to our spaces. So what I want to share with you today is just a few tips that I have kind of picked up along the way, kind of just started doing on my own out of like trial and error, and just see if maybe it doesn't give you some inspiration. So first I want to talk about where you can source houseplants from. So this beautiful little specimen started out teensy tiny in a little itty bitty pot that came from Kroger. So I was at the grocery store just grabbing a few things and I saw they had aloe plants, so I picked up a couple. That's another thing too, a little tip with like household things. I feel like I always come up with these things on the side, but always buy in pairs, whether that's plants, pillows, lamps, anything. Always try to buy in pairs because sometimes that actually helps when you go to like decorate and create like centerpieces or wherever you might place them. It's nice to have two of the same thing. So I picked up two of those little guys. I have them both still in my house. They're still alive. Of course they're still alive because I willed it to be so. I have them in kind of moderate natural lit areas. They don't get direct sunlight all the time, but that's okay. You can always look at the little card that comes with the plant to see what they actually need. Most house plants don't need direct sunlight all the time. So if you can just at least put them somewhere where they get a little something, that's really usually all that they need. Also, another little tip too, like when it comes to putting them in a pot, so this started out in like a little plastic pot that it just came with. The bigger that you put a plant in, the bigger it will grow. So I've repotted this twice now because I've learned that along the way. And every time that I have moved him into a new pot, he's grown bigger and better. So keep that in mind. And then when it comes to actually planting them, so that was something that I was always kind of like a little bit like intimidated by. I would buy them from the store and then I would always be like super nervous to like move them into a pot. And there's really nothing to be nervous about, honestly. I'm going to go through a couple tips that I have for you here. One of them being this magic ingredient. This is a super lightweight perlite and I get this on Amazon. And why I love this is because I used to be someone who was a little bit of an overwaterer. And so what can happen most commonly with houseplants if you overwater them is they will develop what's called root rot. So basically the roots are sitting in fully saturated soil because there's too much water for them. And what I like about the perlite is it kind of is like an insurance policy. You can put this stuff down in the base of the vessel or the pot that you're going to be using. And what it does is it kind of acts as a little insurance policy against overwatering. So what I like to do is I do a 1-to-3 ratio of the perlite. So depending on whatever size of vessel that you have or pot or planter, you're going to do 1 part perlite at the very bottom, and then you're going to do 3 parts potting soil. And I like to use the Miracle-Gro potting soil. It's worked really well for me. I think it's got some extra like fertilizers in it too, which I think is really convenient. And then you're gonna wanna pack each layer of the potting soil as you add it in, and just kind of keep packing it. Add a little bit of water, pack it a little bit more. And then as you can see here, you're going to put your potting soil in. Put like 1 part potting soil, so you'll have like equal parts of the perlite and then potting soil. Pack the potting soil down pretty well, and then put a little bit of water in, and then go ahead and add a little more potting soil, pack it down, and then go ahead and go in with your plants. And just be really gentle with the roots of the plant. You want to pack around them, but you don't want to put too much force on them. And as you can see here, I like to wear rubber gloves. So my nails are always polished and I like to keep them really nice. So I don't like dirt and stuff to get under my nails. I mean, I love doing stuff like this, but I don't want it to be at the expense of ruining my manicure. Let's be real. So, so I love the rubber gloves, and you can use those, and then just keep adding a little bit more of your potting soil, packing it down, and then you can see how it ends up just being a beautiful plant when it's all done. Now, another little tip after I get done potting a plant is I like to leave it outdoors if possible. You know, obviously if you're in a climate that you can't do that, or it's the winter months or something like that, you know, keeping it indoors is fine. I just think to set them up for the most success, it's really great to do that and just give them that fresh ether, that fresh air, all like the natural elements. Now, as far as where you get your plants from, you know, like I mentioned, you can pick them up at the grocery store, if you have a local hardware store or a landscaping place that you like to shop at. There's so many places that have them now, and most of the time when you do shop for them, it is going to be in season, like spring and summer. So those are great times to plant or repot houseplants. Now, another thing I like to do is to work with the plants that I already have and maximize them. So I like to propagate them. So basically what will happen is, like, this is especially like with my pothos plants, when they get to be like a little too long, or maybe they're just growing kind of unruly, I will trim off at least 3. I always have a minimum requirement of 3 to start a pot, just because it gives it a little bit more of a full body, and it, you know, it really helps to make the plant bigger and fuller. But what I like to do is trim off 3 different sections, and you'll want to trim it off so that you can have a few of they're called nodes, a few of the little nodes, and you're going to put them in a glass of water. So you want the little nodes to be within where the water is. And what will happen is you let them sit out for, you know, it depends on, you know, what environment they're in. If they're inside, it might take a little bit longer. But again, if it's spring or summer, set them right outside and watch the roots grow. And once you get your roots long enough, then you can go ahead and put them into a new planter or a pot. And that's what I've done here in the video. This also makes for a really great housewarming gift, or say you go to a house party and maybe you don't want to bring wine or something, you know, typical like that. You can bring a houseplant, and it's absolutely a beautiful gift, and who doesn't love to receive a houseplant? I know that my mom, my sister, they've all given me plants before, and I just love them. So I still have them years later. And a little tip with that is doing them up in advance, you know, and kind of getting them started so that when you hand them off, they've already been in the little planter for a while, and, you know, you've been taking care of them. So that when they move into their new home, you know, they've already gotten like a good start. So that's something you can do. I think that's always well received. Now, something I didn't mention earlier, like about the pot and the perlite, I prefer to use pots that don't have a drainage hole on the bottom. Now, I know a lot of people prefer the drainage hole, and I think that's great if your plants are going to be outside, or maybe you're going to have one of those oh, what are they called? Like the little saucers under them. That's fine. I prefer not to do that. For me, it just adds like more clutter to the whole plant. So I really prefer to use the perlite, and that has worked beautifully for me. And it just gives them a really nice environment for those deeper roots to just kind of crawl around in the perlite, and gives them so much more space to grow. And again, it really helps to prevent that root rot, which is something that as a beginner, I know is really easy to do. Now, I water my plants usually about once every like 8 to 10 days, I would say. You're always better off erring on the side of being conservative, so underwatering them versus overwatering them. Just kind of take a look at the soil. If the soil seems dry, then they likely need a drink. If it still has some dampness to it, it's fine. And so this might also differ from one plant to another depending on what kind of plant it is, or depending on how much sunlight it's getting, or like what the temperature is in your home, if it's winter versus summer, that sort of thing. There's always variables in there. Another thing to keep in mind is if you have any plants in your bathroom. I always have a couple in my bathroom, and we have a really nice window in there, but they get more moisture from the humidity in there versus any other place in your home. So those plants, if you keep them in a bathroom, they are likely to need less water, or you can go a little bit longer in between watering. Now, something I picked up, which has really helped me a lot, is this neat little contraption. I grabbed it on Amazon. I'll link it below. And you just simply fill it with water and then put the top on. And it's got this flexible hose here where you put this into your plant. So this is especially nice for plants that are sitting up high, or maybe they're hanging. I have a lot of plants that are hanging. I love the look, and I think they're beautiful that way. And so I use this a lot to get up there and just squeeze the water into the plant, and it is so nice. This was really inexpensive, and it was like so worth it. Another thing I keep handy is this product called Natria. It's a neem oil, and you can actually make this on your own too. I just got this because it was easier than trying to figure out a recipe and everything, but I think I will probably eventually just start making my own. This one is it's supposed to protect against oh my gosh, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Aphids. It's aphids, whiteflies and spider mites. So the unfortunate thing with plants is sometimes they can have little bugs or little gnats that can come with just the nature of having an ecosystem like that in a little pot. But I like to sort of stay ahead of that. So seasonally, I will usually spray the plants like at least twice, and then that works really well as a preventative, just to keep the gnats and things like that away. And so you just spray this directly on the soil in the pot, and I spray it pretty liberally. I mean, I go all the way around the plant at the top, and then that's really about it. But I don't like douse it, but I would say, in an average size pot like this, I would probably do like a good 10 to 15 sprays all around the soil. And this works great. Definitely keep this on hand. That way you can keep everything just nice and healthy, and you're not getting any, bugs or anything like that in your home. So that pretty much sums up my tips for you guys today. So I do just want to kind of go back to that whole thing of like, just be really aware of your thoughts. So your thoughts turn into beliefs, and your beliefs really become your life. So be really careful of what you say you can and can't do, and who you are and are not, because you truly are unlimited, and you can create and do anything that you set your mind to, anything that you're passionate about, anything that you're interested in. You have the capability to do it. So if I can turn my pink thumb into a green thumb, so can you. So thanks so much for watching today, guys. Let me know if you end end up being inspired and you start growing houseplants, or if there was any tips that helped you out today, I would love to hear it. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you on the next video.